Okay, so there should be a park just up ahead somewhere. You know, being in the woods like this, no one around, kind of feels like an adventure, don't you think?
Sure, Gavin. Walking 5 minutes off campus feels like a real adventure.
Well, don't be like that. It definitely does. It's kind of like the Percy Jackson series. You know it, right?
Yeah, I read the books and I'm watching the show right now, but comparing the quest of three kids in a world where Greek mythology exists is a bit of a stretch to this.
Okay, I may be exaggerating a little bit, but listen. One moment, Percy, Annabeth, and Grover are just normal teenagers roaming the streets of New York. And then bam, one misstep and they're suddenly in a completely unknown world, faced with gods, furies, and who knows what else.
Okay, and?
And it's kind of like us. I mean, I knew where we were going one moment, and bam, now we're in the woods.
So you did get us lost. And not because you're nostalgic for some series that doesn't even feel like the books.
Wait, you don't like the show?
Well, not really, but that's not... Hey, what's that?
I think you know what it is.
You can't be serious.
I am. Percy Jackson and the Olympians is a good adaptation. It's clear that the directors of the series have respect for the original books. And Rick Riordan, the guy who wrote the books, not only gave the series his blessing, but he's also overseen the production, which doesn't happen a lot in a lot of adaptations. Or do I need to remind you of the horrors that were The Lightning Thief or the Sea of Monster movies?
Of course I know that. The show was bound to be leagues better than the movies when they cast actual kids this time around. But if they're going to scrutinize my favorite book series, then I'm going to scrutinize the details.
Really? I thought you were smart enough to not critique an adaptation by its changes. The Lightning Thief is almost 400 pages. Of course there's going to be some world building that ends up cut. But none of the major encounters are compromised, and arguably some are even improved. While the books are limited to Percy's perspective, we definitely get a lot more interesting points of view in the show from characters like Annabeth, Grover, or even Percy's mom. I personally think that the flashbacks in episode 7 really helped flesh out Sally's character, her strength and her determination to keep Percy safe from the unusual conventions of godly parenting. What the?
I'll admit, I did like some of the show's diversions. And you're right. We do get some insights in the main character's key motives and traits. Percy is impulsive, grounded, and selfless. Grover is patient, kind, and wary, and Annabeth is naturally wise and pragmatic. But their dynamic as a trio suffers because of the show's overall pacing and tone. We move from one climax to the next without a break, and we hardly get to see the more playful and childish aspects of their relationship. Every dangerous encounter is treated with the same level of severity, and without a variety of stakes and different reactions to them, everything starts to feel the same.
If anything, I feel like the main performances from the cast make up for the fast pace. We see so much with so little, like in the case of Leah Jeffrey's performance. She starts off incredibly cold to Percy, and while her stoic demeanor never totally falters, we still see that she's changed in some way by him. If anything, I think that the development of their relationship over the series was really heartwarming. Oh, come on now, don't act like you weren't smiling along with me the entirety of the finale. Sure, there were some bland choices, but they had a good cast. Ultimately, I'm happy that a new generation of kids are able to grow up with Percy, Annabeth, and Grover. Rick Riordan is always trying to push for diversity and further expanding of the depth in his characters, and I think that the show accomplishes this really well.
You're right. Despite its flaws, I did enjoy the show.
I knew you'd come around.
But it's still not enough. I'm sorry, Gavin, but the show simply didn't live up to my nostalgia. I wish it did, but without establishing Camp Half-Blood as a home for these demigods, a lot of the fantasy is lost. In the books, when Percy joins Camp Half-Blood, he feels like he belongs there. He makes friends with Luke, sings campfire songs, and lives in a cabin full of demigod kids like him. He feels secure there. So when he embarks on this journey with Annabeth and Grover, we get a sense of what he's leaving behind. And, like Percy, we don't want to leave Camp Half-Blood either. Because who knows if it'll be the same when he returns.
You won. Guess our little adventure's over.